Linwood, Washington. My son has a little like a training program for his skiing season. He's on a little ski team up here, and excuse me, they're doing a dryland training session at a CrossFit box. So they're in there doing some of the exercise, I suppose. And so I'm just going to come out here and sort of chat for a few minutes. A couple things I think of interest, and then I'll answer questions. But I think that one of the things I saw, someone had posted obviously a couple days, was it yesterday, day before, maybe it was yesterday, Rogan had on Trump, and I watched that, and some of it was interesting to me. Trump had brought up a chart showing how the U.S. spends an incredible amount of money on healthcare expenditures, and yet our life expectancy is lagging far, far behind, other developed countries which spend a fraction of what we do. And, that's, I've known that for, many, many years now. That's old news, basically. But the fact that it seemed like it was new news to him was kind of shocking to me, or that it would be new news to any politicians. This should be something we are painfully aware of. I mean, our healthcare system is tremendously expensive, to the tune of something like $4.5 trillion annually, most of which goes to chronic disease. And if you look at, like I said, our population health metrics, our longevity, and so on and so forth, it's just not very good. In fact, it's abysmal, quite honestly. And my thoughts are, and if I don't know if I'll have any impact on things, depending on who, depends on how things go. And it's equally on Trump and his administration versus Harris and her administration, to whoever gets in, that they address this issue. And, I'm happy to put in my 2 cents if anybody asks me. But I think we have to change the way we incentivize physicians. Obviously, we have to address the food system. We have to change the resources that are allocated towards getting people healthy. I mean, we've got it backwards. We're such a reactionary system. That's got to change. And anyway, it's just some general thoughts. I'm going to answer questions now for you guys. I'm going to stick around for about half an hour. It's 1 o'clock here where I'm at, so I'll shoot to go till about 1:30. Answer as many questions as I can. Hopefully you guys are doing well. Again, thanks for following along on the channel. Thanks for supporting and being subscribers. But yeah, thank you guys. All right, let me just kind of go through the list here and see who's here. So Joe Smith is saying hello. Good to see you, Joe. Mrs. Newton's Big Family Noise is also saying hello. Buff Grandpa, hi. Peyton, hi. Miss Hooligan Fish is saying hi, and Dragon Girl saying hi. A lot of highs in here. I'm gonna hi to everybody. Anyway, Art Savage, hi. Paul Couture, Sean, your doctors won't talk about weight gain on carnivore diet. Your doctors won't talk about weight gain on a carnivore diet. I can't speak for everybody. Certainly you can gain weight on a carnivore diet. And, and the question is, is it good weight gain? Are you putting on lean mass? I mean, that's certainly something that people do, but some people do actually gain weight, and some people do actually become fat on a carnivore diet. Now, fortunately, that's probably the minority of people, but it certainly does happen. And I think there's various reasons for that, but to suggest it doesn't exist, or suggest that, you're going to live forever, it's immortality, you'll never get sick if you go carnivore. I mean, that is obviously not true. Now, what do I think relative to, the general population? I would be willing to bet that if we took a population of people on a carnivore diet for, say, a period of 5 to 10 years and compared their outcomes versus the general population, I would be very surprised if the carnivore population was not healthier in many ways. So anyway, Jennifer Cross, hi from Lake Stevens, Washington. Well, I'm not far away. I'm here in Linwood, so I live in Snohomish, as you may know, which is just the next town over. So good to see you. TDQQQ, I think my EDS might have been misdiagnosed, and it was truly berry from a very poor carb-based diet. What are your thoughts? I would be surprised if it was berry. I mean, again, berry is a nutritional deficiency. It has to do with thiamine, and a thiamine deficiency. And that is usually shows up. There's two forms of wet beriberi and dry beriberi, and it's usually evidenced typically by cardiovascular complications or neurologic complications. And EDS is generally related to joints, joint hyperlaxity and so on and so forth. So I don't know what your symptoms were that either were attributed to EDS that would have been confused with beriberi. So I'm not sure about that. Maybe I probably need more information. Miss Hooling Fish says Trump was great on JRE. Saludos de San Antonio, Texas. Well, gracias. Thank you for that. Appreciate it. Hello back. Any advice for becoming a carnivore coach? Any advice for becoming a carnivore coach? Well, I mean, we used to run a program where we had carnivore coaching. I had a program that I put together through carnivore.diet. We discontinued that as we shifted our focus towards Revero. And so, because Revero is our company, Revero, which is a healthcare company, so we have to get involved with medications and quite honestly, just discontinuing people off of medications. That requires a different level of rigor because, you get into practicing medical care, which is very highly regulated. And so our coaching requirements for that particular thing are much more stringent, I suppose, and the qualifications are more selective. We typically have people with some sort of science degree or something along those lines to do that. So I don't know if you qualify for that. I mean, there might be other avenues out there, but I mean, obviously experience it yourself. You have to get pretty comfortable around how to implement it, and this is a thing, I should go back to my original point about how do we fix this broken healthcare system, or it's not necessarily, how do you get more people healthy, irrespective of whether they go to the doctor or not? And I think there's a lot of things out there. And honestly, I'm an orthopedic surgeon. I had, God, I don't know how many years, 4 years of medical school, 4 years of college, 5 years of surgical training. That's 13 years of formal education to become a very specialized person that can cut people open and fix their bones and fix their joints and, so on and so forth, replace their joints. Do you need that level of specialized knowledge to be able to fix someone's health? If much of the health can be obtained through just, eating correctly, sleeping well, getting some activity and exercise, probably not. And so it's a change, and the people that are sort of gatekeeping healthcare, the doctors, the healthcare systems, they're making a lot of money on this. And does it cost that much? I think it's interesting. So could you help a lot of people as a carnivore coach, whatever you want to call yourself? Probably. Now, how much will the market bear for that? That's another question, because people are like, well, gosh, my grandmother could have told me how to eat. I'm not paying her anything. But what about, my grandmother can't replace my joint, or if she tried, it probably wouldn't turn out very well. So, but then again, what if we had less people developing osteoarthritis of the knee? That would be good, in my view. All right, sorry, that doesn't really help very much, does it? Hello from sunny and pleasant Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, says Frank Miller. Well, also, I have never been to Pennsylvania. It's one of the few states. It's probably the biggest state I've never. Well, Alaska would be the biggest state I've ever been to, because of course it's the biggest state we have. But other than Alaska, the continental states, I think I've been to like 42 states. Pennsylvania is the biggest one I haven't been to. It's kind of, I've been close. I've been to New York several times. I haven't been to New Jersey either. I was at a conference, or it was I don't know what you call it. Maybe it was a conference. It's called New York Strong, or Strong New York rather. And it was literally right on the Hudson River. So literally, apparently, and people told me, hey, that's in New Jersey right over there, right across the bridge. So it's very close to New Jersey. I guess I could have walked across the bridge instead of been in New Jersey, but I haven't done it yet. So anyway, one day I'll get to Pennsylvania. Paul Kachoroff. I'm getting fatter every week. You don't eat corn and grain-raised beef. You are what cows eat. Officially, I'm pulling the plug on carnivore. I've become the cow. Well, I mean, like I said, if it's not working for you, then I suggest you move on to something else. Good luck for you. Good luck to you. Hopefully I wish you the best in whatever you end up doing. Hello from Colima, Mexico. Not sure where that is. I've been to Mexico. a handful of times over my life, and to include, I'll tell you a funny story, to include getting chucked in jail in Mexico. Went down to, where was it? Matamoros. Was it Matamoros? Yeah, Matamoros in college. Couple knucklehead, out, drinking with the boys. Decided to drive down to Mexico, literally crossed the border, and were literally arrested like immediately. And the charges, and this was like, I remember it was like as the sun was coming up, because we got, we were like late night drive down. It's like dawn, and we crossed the border, and we parked our car on the U.S. side and walked across, and then we wanted to get a ride, and we jumped in the back seat of a car of a local guy, said he'd give us a ride, and there were was there three of us? Yeah, three of us in the back seat. I remember this was like an old Camaro or something like that with a T-top, and we were big guys, and we were sitting in the backseat, three of us, and they just said, hey, the police pulled us over like within 5 minutes and said, hey, there are too many people in the backseat of a car. That's illegal. Which we're like, what? 3 people in the backseat of a car is too many? When you see some cars, they got like 12 people hanging out in them. But anyway, they arrested us. They didn't arrest the drivers, of course. They were just trying to shake down the tourists, basically, and they threw us in a little jail cell. And none of us spoke Spanish, which was kind of disconcerting. And we were in this little one-room building in the middle of town with bars. It was like a zoo. We were like literally zoo animals on display. There's a little hole in the ground to go to the bathroom. And we're all like, hadn't slept, we're hungover. We're like, what the hell is going on? We don't speak Spanish. And we're there for like 6 hours. And this is before cell phones and stuff like that. And we're like, oh my God, maybe we're gonna get dead here or something like that. So it was a little bit nerve-wracking. And I remember I told this story. The last time I think I told this story publicly was when I was interviewed by the wrestler, Stone Cold Steve Austin. I was on his podcast several years ago. And so at the end of the day, what they did, they came, about 6 hours went by. We're all like really getting worried. And the guy from the jail, he came up to us and he started saying something to us in Spanish. And we were like, I don't know what you're saying, dude. And he just said, pay the fine, pay the fine. And we're like, well, what's the fine? We don't know. And he just kept screaming at us, pay the fine. So we basically just like emptied our pockets and wallets. And between the 4 of us, I think we had like $15. So we gave them our $15. They let us go. We of course left. We went back and it was kind of a rough trip getting back home. But that was my one time in Mexico that I didn't enjoy. But most of the time I've been in Mexico, I didn't get thrown in jail. Every other time I go to Mexico, I haven't gone into jail. It's been quite pleasant. But I've been to the typical tourist spots like Puerto Vallarta and Cancun and Cozumel and Tulum, I guess, a few of those places. So anyway, I heard my friend was just in Mexico City. He was really raving about it. So he was talking about how just a really nice place it is. So, anyway, but I don't know where Columa is. Grandmaster B, Jordan or LeBron? Oh, Jordan, easy. That's my year. I think Jordan was in a class of his own, and just not only from a physical performance standpoint, but just from a mindset standpoint. The guy was definitely the GOAT of basketball. I think that's, in my mind, it's not even debatable. Joe Smith, I've added potatoes to my mostly meat diet and I have more energy than meat only. What's your thoughts on that? Is it because I'm still addicted to carbs? No, I think it's just, certainly starches and glucose and sugar can provide you energy. And the question is, what is going to be the long-term effect of that, right? And the other thing is, I did a video on this morning, in fact, and my friend, who I have a tremendous amount of respect for, Amber Hearn, talks about low carb, and when people are just under energied, they just aren't consuming enough energy, that they run into those issues where the mistake is, well, I'm not consuming enough carbs or something like that, where it's, no, you're probably just not consuming enough energy. So it could have been that you were just failing to meet your performance needs from the energy standpoint. It would have been, maybe you needed more source of fat in the diet. So that's something to think about. Gersh Hayes says Jordan Peterson. Inmate says double tap the screen to like. I don't know. Does that actually work? I don't know. Zeke Owen, if I fell off Carnivore last winter and gained 20 pounds and T dropped to 140. I've been back on it for 6 months and have not lost a pound. Is my low T the reason for not being able to lose weight? I'm 28 years old. It could be a number of reasons. So I don't know, Zeke. One thing I will say is, like, if you guys are interested in a one-on-one consultation, I still do those. I think there's a link in my bio. We could talk in detail about something along those lines. You wear a seatbelt. I thought you were a free spirit kind of. Yeah, I guess I do wear a seatbelt, huh? Yeah, it's kind of just like, well, I mean, the thing is, you know, I'm in a little Toyota Tundra, and if I don't put the seatbelt on, I get that noise, you know, that noise, bing, 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 bing. So I just put it on to stop the noise. So, but yeah, sometimes I forget. Sometimes I don't wear a seatbelt, but most of the time I do. Yeah, I'm a seatbelt guy. Sorry about that. MLT any crack around? I don't know about that. We got Tabia Kane. Hello from New Zealand. 3 years from me. I'm a naturopath, and it's all about low carb healing for sure. Well, kia ora to you. You may or may not know, I used to live down there. I lived in Cambridge for a while. I played a season of rugby down there in the Waikato. So I like New Zealand. Good place. I was unimpressed with the way they handled COVID, though. I got to admit on that. I was really shocked to see how that was done. But maybe that was just a blip, and they've got, now that Jacinda Ardern is gone, maybe it'll be better. I don't know. We'll get you out of the hood. Metalhead Hippie says, hey doc, Tim Max, if you have sugar day once a month, will that mess me up? I'm just doing carnivore for my skin and not worried about my weight. I'm healthy, just don't want it to mess my skin up. It depends. I mean, I don't know what your particular skin issue is, but I mean, I do know that some people will say that sugar causes them to get rashes or break out with acne or something like that. So maybe not. I mean, there's only one way to find out, right? I mean, do it and see how you do. Mohammed Sadiq, how did carnivore affect your sexual function? Well, I mean, I think that's a reasonable question, to be honest, and I think it's generally been a net positive. You know, I know like people like to talk about testosterone levels and all that, but I mean, I think clinical function is much more important than what your number is, because the number can vary on a lot of things. It has to do, receptor sensitivity can alter that. If you have very very sensitive receptors, then, you know, how much hormone do you actually need? You need less. So, but I mean, anyway, you know, clinical, libido, sexual function, those types of things are, for most people, particularly if they're eating sufficiently, particularly if they become adapted, notice improvements across the board, both male and female. Were you at the Diddy party? No. Scream Free Dirk RQ. Isn't that Free Dirk? I think isn't that like, he's like a rapper or something, like this got busted or something. I saw something about that guy. I don't know anything about him though. All right, we got some Satan worship in there. Joel T. Let's see. Michael Pregler. Carnivore lifestyle changed my life. Thank you for what you do. Thank you. Appreciate it. We got Mr. Rick in Miami, the Charger Mopar, the 40-year carnivore. How's it going, Rick? Hopefully you're doing well today. I think you're probably like 41 years now, if I'm not mistaken. Michael Longstreet. I just started to really gain muscle once I started a carnivore diet. Eggs, cheese, beef, tuna, and chicken almost feels like steroids. Oh yeah, Rick says 41 years and counting, not dead yet. Real life Joe Swanson. I'm not sure who Joe Swanson is. Will you perform a transition for me? I want a bottom surgery. I'll make an off-color joke about this. I said, it takes real balls to cut off your pecker, man, and it's kind of true, right? Anyway, Trump says Jim Robertson. R. Pierce, Dr. B, how can I reach you for best carn doctors for family that's daughter has vax injury? She has been in the national news. She's losing her skin. I won't say her name, but emergency. Well, I mean, again, I'm not a specialist in vaccines or anything like that. I do consultations on how to set up carnivore diet and manage other lifestyle factors. So I have uh, a link in the bio that you can potentially use. All right. Memovania. Should I only drink water? Is hot tea not good? Um, well, I mean, every animal on the planet drinks one thing. I'd say, well, mammals will drink some milk initially, but water is what every animal on the planet seems to work well with. They're not drinking teas or Diet Cokes or stevia flavored waters. Having said that, most people tea's okay, to be honest. I mean, some people it's a problem, but most people it's fine. Fred's perspective, drinking 2 gallons of water a day seems extreme on carnivore. That's how much I've been consuming a day on this diet. It, I mean, it depends. I mean, it could be if you're sweating a lot, you might be needing that. I mean, the other thing is if you're just drinking like plain water, and not consuming an adequate amount of electrolytes, and sometimes, if you, so what happens if you drink a bunch of water, you dilute the electrolytes in your tissue, your extracellular fluid, and if it gets too low and you start becoming hyponatremic, whereas your sodium gets low, that's a risk for your brain swelling, actually. So what happens is your body will just excrete all the extra fluid. So you basically just drink it and you pee it out. So, if you're having hyper, you know, you're just always thirsty all the time, then I would consider just checking your glucose, because that's sometimes some people with diabetes will have high glucose, which leads to profound thirst. We call it so-called polydipsia, and then it's accompanied by polyuria, where you pee a lot. Arc cements. It's feeling best when I do the Dr. Baker way of eating, although I'm only 170, I can't eat as much as he is. Well, I mean, I'm 260, so I mean, I hope not. I'm just a bigger animal, right? So I gotta eat more. What online steak company do you order from? I would say the three that I most commonly, well, I'd say four. The four places I most commonly get meat from are going to be a company called Colorado Craft. They're out of Colorado. We're a guy named Jeff Smith. He's a great dude, friend of mine, great rancher. I actually invested some money in their processing plant. It's because I like their mission. Good meat, very tasty. The Alpine Butcher, which is run by a guy named Tommy Doyle, out of near Boston. I can't remember. They're in Lowell, I think. Lowell, Maine, I think is where they're at. Good company, really good meat, high end, expensive, but it's such good quality. It's so, I mean, prime meat. Better fed beef out of they're out of the Midwest. I think Minnesota's where their main areas, but I mean, gosh, Max Winders and his family, Jack and Tommy Winders, good people. They're linked up with like 20 individual farms that just feed into that system. They have this kind of Anya cattle. Those are probably the three that I mostly eat meat from, those guys. And I'll get ranchers from various, from time to time to send me stuff, and they've all been pretty good. But those three in particular, I enjoy their products a lot. So there. All right, what else we got here? All right. Severe Group, what do you think about betaine? Betaine, hydrochloric acid, I think, or hydrochloric. I think I really need it for the time being. I think I see generally sort of not super impressive results with that HCl supplementation. I mean, and the assumption is you're not producing enough stomach acid to digest properly the protein primarily the meat you're eating. It might be helpful in the short term. I don't think it'll be beneficial long term. Why your hydrochloric acid or your stomach acid is not working, I'm not sure the underlying reason. Maybe you're on some PPI, some proton pump inhibitors or antacids. Maybe you're just old, and over time we know that can go down for a lot of people. but I mean, to be honest, I think it's a supplement or a digestive aid that I see at best modest results on. All right, we got Rick saying I drink more water when the weather's hotter. Yeah, you sweat more. Makes sense. Menaj Karubastan's talking about Palestine there. How much can you bench at 10 reps, said Seth Shepard. For 10 reps right now, maybe, I don't know, 230, something like that. I don't bench press much anymore. I mean, my 1 rep max is, last time I did it. I might bench today. I was thinking about that. Maybe 310, something like that. I've never been a very good bench presser. I mean, even when I was powerlifting and training and had a really strong deadlift and a decent squat, the most ever bench press was 400 pounds. So I was like never a really good, and I've got super long arms, so I mean, my arms are ridiculously long. So anyway, I don't do it much anymore. You look like a puff, okay. If I have NAFL, non-alcoholic fatty liver, will carnivore reverse this? Been carnivore for 6 months, labs is taken, and this shows up. So I'm not sure how you diagnosed it based on a lab test, unless you, I mean, there is a fatty liver index panel that you can get, which involves GGT, triglycerides. What else is on that panel? I'm trying to think. There was, I think waist circumference was part of that. There's a fatty liver index that you can get, and most people don't have. It's not on a standard liver. I mean, triglycerides will be there. The GGT is not typically tested, but maybe your ALT or AST was slightly elevated. It doesn't necessarily mean fatty liver, right? I mean, that's diagnosed with some sort of imaging typically. Although, like I said, the fatty liver index can give you an approximation, and it's reasonably correlative, What was I going to say? Oh, the kids are all doing air squats. I'm here at my son's doing a CrossFit thing and for skiing. So they're doing like a dry land training here, just doing some squatting, get ready for skiing. But I mean, yeah, the short answer is many people with fatty liver, non-alcoholic fatty liver disease do see significant improvement by going carnivore. All right, we got our first super chat question here from Sama. Sorry if I said that wrong. So I think is that Australian? Maybe it's Australian. It's kind of funny. I see the exchange rate. It's kind of cool. I can watch the exchange rate now. My ferritin jumped up to 380 from 310 after venesection. After venesection? Felt terrible for a week. Have one low risk H63D HFE gene on carnivore diet for almost 5 years. Your thoughts? Thank you. Well, I mean, again, I don't necessarily think that those numbers are ridiculously high. I mean, and it depends on I don't know what lab you went to. Many labs consider up to 400 normal. I know there's other people say, your ferritin should be 60 or something like that. Again, we have to think about what is the concern around too much iron or whatever however you want to define it. And it usually has to do with iron infiltrating certain organs, liver, pancreas, and so on and so forth, and then wreaking havoc there. Iron can also be an acute inflammatory indicator. So if there's some underlying inflammation there. So I would say I'd want to see more information on that, what's going on with your kidney function, your liver function, your blood glucose, pancreas function, which would be a reflection of your glucose homeostasis. So those are things I would be primarily interested in. Whether you have some sort of, I'm not familiar with this particular genetic, this genetic picture you're describing here. There's gazillions of them. There's literally thousands and thousands of different genes along. We're really everything. And so what that one in particular encodes for, I'm assuming it has to do with maybe some tendency towards hemochromatosis or something like that. But even folks with hemochromatosis, with genetic iron storage issues, where they have to donate blood once or twice a week. I mean, it's like literally a real problem. I've seen those people dramatically reduce their overall ferritin, where it goes from 2,000 or 3,000 down to like numbers like yours. And so I would have to put it in overall clinical context. Don't get too caught up in just a single lab value, because I mean, I guarantee anybody, I can take anybody in the world with labs, and I can find many things that are out of range, high normal, low normal, out of range, and in most cases it's like no big deal. So you just have to be mindful of that. All right, and you know, I mean, like I said, the venous section, you know, that's a assume they did, you know, they removed some vein along those lines. It's irritating, it's inflammatory, so there needs to be an inflammatory response. All right, so L, let's see what we got here. We got Lily G with a, I don't know where L is from. I don't know what country L might be from. It's a 999 L. I'm not sure. Well, hi from San Diego, so I assume it's the U.S. So, is carnivore safe for hypothyroidism? Is it safe for? Yeah, I mean, I think carnivore is generally safe for just about everything. I mean, it's not a real risky thing, you know. You know, you eat a bunch of steaks, okay? what's the big concern on that? You know, I mean, or eggs or ground beef, however you want to do it. Many folks actually see quite good response to hypothyroidism with carnivore. A lot of people find that their energy resolves, they lose weight. You know, again, provided you eat enough. Again, hypothyroidism is one of the clinical features of that is energy issues. People are fatigued quite a bit. They're sluggish. They gain weight. They're cold. You know, their hair falls out. That type of stuff. So carnivore has been very helpful for a lot of people with hypothyroidism. If you go to carnivore.diet and you click on the little menu bar, and then it goes success stories, and you click on that, and then you can just literally type in hypothyroidism into the search, and you'll find 20, 30 people that'll give you your testimonies on hypothyroidism. So it can certainly be helpful. You just have to be, it's often nice to have a provider that understands the nuances of how to interpret that, though. All right, so what do we got here? We got Mike from, all right, I tried your 250 meter rower challenge. I'm 5'6", 160 pounds. I got 44 seconds, not bad. Do you have any thoughts on daily carb limit for a toddler to remaining? For a toddler, oh my gosh. Well, first of all, congrats on the 44. That's not bad. That's not bad. I mean, you know, given your height and weight, I mean, it certainly favors. I don't know what your stroke rate was on that, but I imagine your stroke rate was well at least into the 40s. Like for instance, I think I hit a 34.9 seconds. And that time is literally among the very best in the world. I mean, there's like the best ever that anyone's ever done was probably around 33 seconds, something like that. I think that's probably, because that's about a 106 average, which is hauling ass. That takes a tremendous amount of it. That's like world's strongest man strength to be able to do that. But I mean, kids tend to go into ketosis a lot easier than adults do. That's interesting that kids, like babies, are naturally born in ketosis, even on breast milk, and breast milk has, you know, a decent amount of lactose in there. So I don't know the number. I mean, I don't know. I mean, are you testing your kid with a finger stick? Why do you want the kid in ketosis? I think if you feed a kid, just feed the kid a natural whole food diet, lots of meat, things like that. They're generally going to be in a pretty good position. So, but I mean, as far as, I don't know if there's any data on, you know, toddlers getting, you know, beta hydroxybutyrate levels drawn. So I couldn't tell you for sure. All right. So did I get all those questions? I think I got those questions answered. All right. I think I got all the super chats. No, wait, here's another one. It says, I don't even know what SEK is. It's just Miss Anderson and SEK 100. I'm not sure where SEK, what is that? I'm not sure what that denomination is, but thank you. There's a little #1 thing. Thank you, heart. Thank you very much. All right, back to the regular questions. All right, we got Morgan McClellan saying, I'm 7 weeks in on carnivore. Thank you for the wisdom. I'm down 21 pounds to 199. I noticed my stamina has not been good on my Peloton rides, heart rate, no energy, even on 20-minute rides. Yeah, again, Morgan, again, you're losing weight, so you're obviously in a net energy deficit, right? And so when you're in a net energy deficit, it's going to be hard to produce, right? So it just means you just might have to eat a little bit more, maybe eat a little bit more fat. Um, in the context of carnivore, that's where your energy is coming from. So I would play with that, and just see how you can titrate that in, because yes, you want to lose weight if you're too overweight, but then at the same time you want to have enough energy, because I really like Amber about this. She was talking about, basically, if you're losing weight and you're hungry, what's going on? Well, what's going on is your body is not able to break down its own fat to the degree to supply you enough energy so that you're not hungry. So you're not really in the deficit you think you are. Like you said, if normally you eat 3,000 calories a day and you cut it down to 500 calories less, then you should lose 1 pound based on 3,500 calories equaling a pound of body fat. But often people don't. And when they're not hungry, when you're losing weight but you're not hungry, that means your body is supplying you enough nutrition, it's breaking down enough fat, liver glycogen, and then unfortunately, if it goes too far, then you start seeing catabolism of lean tissue. So, but if you're exercising on top of that and losing weight, then you're like really, you're like, I'm using more energy than my body is able to currently supply. And so if your body can't supply it, then you need to get it exogenously. And that's going to come on a carnivore diet. It's basically going to come from fat. So that's how I would think that. So you might want to titrate in a little bit more fat and just see how that impacts your performance. Now, your weight loss might not be as rapid, but the energy is going to be better. And it might be better in the long term to do it that way. All right, we got another $5 question from Morgan. Thanks, Doc. Makes sense. Stay away from some honey before the ride. Okay. All right, what else we got here? We got, okay, here's another couple. We got several more of these little super chat things. John Feeney. Been carnivore for over a month now. Love it. Weaning off my PPI for 20 years. Very happy. Yeah, I mean, good for you. I mean, if we look at it, why do we get gastroesophageal reflux disease, GERD, right? It's basically pressure phenomenon, too much pressure in the gut, bloating, whatever, from fibrous material, sugary material, sometimes fat can do it too, leads to gas, which then leads to overpressure, which then blows open the lower esophageal valve, and then acid gets up into the esophagus and it becomes symptomatic, right? We don't want to stop the acid from forming, because that's how we digest food, right? So PPIs are really a bad thing because they make your ability to actually digest your food bad. So anyway, short answer is carnivore should be able to help, provided you're handling the fat okay. All right, back to we got M from Miss Anderson. SCK again. I'm not sure what SCK is. I'm trying to figure out what that is. Otherwise, reverse many diagnoses, pre-diabetes, fatty liver, etc. 2 carnivore. Otherwise, reverse many diagnoses, pre-diabetes, fatty liver, etc. I'm not sure if that's a question. I'm not sure how to. It just doesn't make sense to me when I read it. But 2 carnivore questions. Oh, 2 carnivore questions. So T is supposed to be TW. Okay. Can it reverse prediabetes and fatty liver, etc.? Yeah, I mean, it has. It has for many people. Is it going to happen to every single person? Don't know. Probably not. But I mean, there are many, many people that do carnivore that see those things significantly improve. So my answer on that is yes and yes, it can help. I think, I think diet is crucially important for any of those things. I mean, I think it's the only thing, though. I'd be remiss not to say that I think, things like sleep and not being sedentary and getting some exercise and, being mindful of the circadian environment are all important aspects there. But yeah, for sure. All right. All right. We got Matt Astartes. Hey, Dr. Baker, I'm 1 month into carnivore. I feel great. Other than grass-fed beef, steak, and pasture-raised eggs, I am doing grass-fed cheddar with heavy cream and coffee plus bone broth, down 16 pounds. Well, good for you. Awesome. I think that's great. What do you think of the lactose and whole fat-free milk, or lactose-free? What do you think of lactose-free whole milk? This is Carlos Hernandez. Yeah, I mean, so it's basically treated with a lactase enzyme, and it basically just, breaks that down. I think it's okay. My wife drinks it, to be honest. I mean, she's always had lactose issues, and even though she's pretty much carnivore, that's what she does, and she seems to do okay on that. So I think it's fun. I think it's generally okay. All right, we got a $10 thing from Sama again. My hematologist is clueless about the rise in ferritin levels after vivisection. Other markers such as high sensitivity CR, active protein, ESR, homocysteine, insulin, LFTs, RBCs are optimal. Just confused. Go Revero. You know, I mean, again, one thing I would caution you. I mean, from 310 to 380, you know, it's 70 points. It's like, it's not even 25%. You know, so you got like a 20% bump, right? What is the day-to-day normal variation in ferritin levels? So I would look at what is the normal diurnal variability. Does ferritin levels wax and wane throughout the day? Very much that could be the case. I mean, you know, like I said, if it went from 380 to 3,000, then you'd be like, okay, that's outside the normal range. So one thing you'd have to look at is anytime somebody shows me a lab, I say, what's the diurnal variability? And I don't know off the top of my head the diurnal variability of ferritin, but you could literally look it up and just say, type in Google, what is the diurnal variability of ferritin? And if they says, you know, it fluctuates, you know, 20% day to day, or in the morning it's higher, in the evening it's lower. I mean, that alone could make up the answer for this. So you got to, whenever you're interpreting lab tests, you have to just look in. There's day-to-day sloppy variation. It's not like every day. I mean, I guarantee if you check that 10 days in a row, you're going to get probably 10 different numbers, and some are going to be higher, some are going to be lower. So I wouldn't get too bent out of shape about that, you know, as far as what's going on overall clinically, because this is the thing that happens. A lot of people get anxiety. They get a lab because we are now a society that has more labs and more tests than we've ever had. And are we healthier for it? Probably not. We're probably more anxious for it, to be honest. So I think, you know, and again, I don't want to just totally dismiss this, but I think in some regards, we have to look at, what do I actually care about? Do I care what my ferritin level is? I have no idea what my ferritin level is right now. I have no clue. I don't know what my cholesterol level is. I don't know what my testosterone level is. Right this, I don't know what my glucose. Well, I do, but I think it's important to realize that you know, when it changes 10, 15, 20%, don't get too excited about that stuff. You know, I mean, but look it up. Go look it up for yourself. Say, what is the diurnal variability or the day-to-day variability on a ferritin reading? And there may be some data on that. There may not be. It may be like ferritin peaks at 8 a.m. in the morning and it declines by 6 p.m. and, you know, something like that. So you need to know those things, or if you're worried about them, check it out. All right, guys, I'm going to do 5 more minutes. I thought I was going to do 30 minutes, but I'll do 45. So 5 more minutes. Can I do coffee? Says Timex. If you want. I'm not your mother, so you can do whatever you want. What is your biggest carnivore cheat? I don't know. I mean, I honestly think I get to cheat every day because I have ribeye steaks damn near every day. I mean, that's a pretty damn good cheat meal as far as I'm concerned. So, all right, we got a $20 thing here. Big Visc. Hey, Doc, carnivore 18 months, lost 90 pounds in 7 months. Congrats. Steady at 205, 215 now. LDL, cholesterol ratio down. LDL 205. CAC showed an Agassiz of 115 and left anterior descending 81. Doc's freaking out. Any recommendations on studies to look at? Yeah, so again, I don't know your history. You know, you lost 90 pounds, so at some point you were pushing over 300 pounds. So a lot of that CAC score, that Agassiz score, probably predated carnivore, would be my guess. I mean, you've been on carnivore for 7 months. I don't think carnivore was what put calcium in your vessels, because usually that's, you know, if you listen to most cardiologists, say, well, this is a process that takes years and years and years. I don't know how old you are. So with that in mind, I mean, I don't think you can ignore high LDL cholesterol and ignore the fact that you did have some level of heart disease. So what I would do, I mean, what I would consider is repeating the test in a certain interval, maybe in a 1 year interval, see the direction it might be moving. Is it still going up despite losing weight and getting healthier with that higher LDL? Is it going down, which sometimes that occurs? Is it staying the same, which would generally people would consider would be fine? So I get more information. You know, you can get some like other tests that you know might show you like what's going on more acutely, like you know, carotid Doppler studies. You know, ultrasounds of your neck. vessels, and that can show, hey, is there any endothelial plaque accumulation, and then that changes more rapidly. CCTA, where you get angiography, so you can see what's going on there. So maybe more imaging, maybe repeat imaging. Again, you want to make sure all your other markers are good with regard to metabolic health. So glucose control, inflammatory markers, blood pressure, waist to height ratio, which I assume is much better for you at this point now that you've dropped damn near 100 pounds. So anyway, but it's a good question. It's a common one. So, but yeah, I mean, I think I would get more information personally. And again, I'll just put the plug out there. I am available for consultation. There's a link on my bio if you want to talk in more detail. All right, we got another SAMA question. Pre-keto carnivore, my ferritin used to be 1,000. Thank you for all you do. Much appreciated. Okay, well, yeah, I can't remember. Was yours the one that went down to 380 or something like that? Yeah, so I mean, that's something to do. Most of the people I see with real ferritin levels like hemochromatosis will have in excess of 1,000, and when it drops, but there's some people say, well, it needs to be really super duper low. It needs to be like 50 or 60. I'm not convinced that necessarily is right either. I think it's context dependent. So anyway, there you go. All right, guys, I'm going to shut it down. I appreciate it. I got to go check on my son here in a bit. You guys take care. Thanks a bunch. Bye-bye, everybody.